Uloestropolis was a dimension in which the remaining powerful people lived. They did not age when living in Uloestropolis, and they lived there for hundreds of thousands of years. Every citizen in Uloestropolis had a certain odd ability, in varying ways of strength, power, and usefulness. I had great power in this kingdom. My name was and is Izapc Thunder, Lord of Lightning. I have the power to manipulate electricity to my will. During this time, I was 150,041 years old. Now, many of the people in Uloestropolis didn't know that I had a younger brother called Zebruda. He never had powers like I did, and that made him very jealous. Because he didn't have powers, he never came to Uloestropolis. But where was he now? I pondered this question for a long time, trying to forget it, but it latched on to my mind, like an eel, painful and hard to be rid of. Many years passed, and I had almost forgotten about Zebruda. Little did I know, he was still out there somewhere, plotting and scheming. One day, I was out on a walk through Uloestropolis when I noticed a strange carving in the bricks that I was sure was not there the day before. It was a strange little symbol, like a face with a crown. I didn't pay much attention to it though. A major court trial was starting in an hour, and I needed to be ready. The court was a large square room with numerous seats for the counsel and judges to sit. In the middle of the room sat an uncomfortable wooden chair for the criminal to sit. Suddenly, a mob of Uloestropolisians flowed into the court, and 2 guards stomped in, chaining the criminal to a wooden chair. I stood at a podium in front of the greenish-skinned criminal.
Name? Gunkweezer Shufflebottom.
Crime? He grumbled. A member of the court stood up.
Tell him your crime.
Alright, I killed 3 members of your council. You happy now?
Not in the slightest. Mr. Thunder, your opinion.
I jerked out of a contemplation in which I noticed the necklace Shufflebottom was wearing. A silver chain, hanging the same symbol of the weird face I saw carved in the bricks that morning.
Yes, I think that, at this point, we should focus on why Mr. Shufflebottom committed murder in case it might be a bigger plan in a criminal conspiracy.
Why did you kill these people?
It is inevitable.
I'm sorry.
The plan will be carried out and he will rule as he deserves.
Take him away.
Gunkweezer Shufflebottom's echoing cries of madness echoed throughout the room as he was dragged down the hall. I knew that I was the only one who realized this. Zebruda had returned. The next day, I sat in the waiting room of a local detective, Detective Nollings.
Mr. Thunder, Detective Nollings will see you now,
drawled a monotone from the next room. I strolled into the small office through a door held by the woman with the monotone voice. An empty set of clothes was sitting at a desk in the middle of a room eating a packet of dried apples.
Well, what service can I provide to you today?
Said the detective.
Hundreds and thousands of years ago, my brother Zebruda ran away and was never seen again. Rumor had it that he had joined evil forces. Yesterday, at the court, the criminal said that the plan will be carried out, and he will rule as he deserves. I think it might be a reference to Zebruda.
That doesn't sound like a lot of evidence. I'll tell you what. We can go to the prison and have my interrogator, Alethea, an empty sleeve pointed at the monotone woman by the door. Ask this guy a few questions. No one can lie to Alethea. That's her ability. And it makes for a good investigator. And what was the criminal's name?
Gunkweezer Shufflebottom.
Good. Meet me at the prison entrance at 9:30 a.m. tomorrow.
Sounds like a deal. See you there.
I awoke early the next morning and strolled to the prison entrance. Strangely, the invisible detective and his interrogator were not at the prison entrance like they said they would be. I was a little late. It was already 9:45. I thought that they might have went in to find Shufflebottom's cell. I walked into the entrance and found that the jail was empty, deserted, and the doors of the cells have been turned to little piles of ash. I knew only one person who could have gained this power through evil methods. Zebruda. The strange symbol of the face with the crown was carved into the floor. Blood was splattering all over it, and I noticed a body on the ground. Detective Nollings was dead. I left the prison. I raised my arms, and suddenly a thunderstorm appeared. Bolts of lightning shot towards me and coiled around me like snakes. I was raised upwards and saw that the escaped prisoners in their blue uniforms were attacking the town square, the place where literally everything seems to happen, specifically in Batman movies. Why? I decided to paralyze the criminals by controlling the electricity from their brains and nerves. Strangely, it didn't seem to work. The prisoners kept on rampaging. I felt no electric radiation coming from them at all, and I realized they were zombies. I just used the thunderstorm to strike all of the prisoners with bolts of lightning. One prisoner somehow was dodging all the lightning strikes. He wore a crown and orange and blue clothes, definitely not the prison uniform. On the back of his coat was a strange symbol of the face with the crown. Zebruda was in Uloestropolis. Only one thought was in my mind: to get the Impa blade and use it on Zebruda. The Impa blade was a diamond sword that shone gold. The Impa blade had been in the kingdom for thousands of years and had the power to take the victim's powers. If the sword was used on Zebruda, the fight would be much easier. I dashed through Uloestropolis towards the castle where the Impa blade was. The Impa blade was in its rack in the relics room on the 4th floor. I grabbed the sword and dashed out of the castle. Again, I sent lightning bolts around my body to pick myself up. And then I saw Zebruda a couple blocks away from the town hall. I flew to the hall and confronted Zebruda.
Surrender now, or I shall have to relieve you of your powers.
You have no power here. This kingdom is mine.
An epic fight broke out. Swords flashing, shields blocking, lightning bolts flying everywhere. Uloestropolins stopped what they were doing just to view this epic battle. I eventually paralyzed Zebruda. I looked down and rested the Impa blade on each of Zebruda's shoulders. Zebruda's newfound powers of destruction were no more. I raised my left hand to the sky and shot out a bolt of green lightning, signaling the armies to pause the battle and bring Zebruda into interrogation. Half the army was still on the battlefield defending the kingdom from zombies. The other half was sent to bring the paralyzed Zebruda into the court for interrogation. As they were dragging Zebruda along the cobblestone road, I thought that he might have a faint smile on his face. We were seated in the courtroom where we interrogated Gunkweezer Shufflebottom, an interrogation that felt just like yesterday. Because it was. Zebruda sat, chained into the uncomfortable wooden chair in the middle of the room. I stood at the podium ready to question him. I walked down from the podium towards Zebruda and put my hand on the back of his neck where the spinal cords were, and I took the electricity so Zebruda was no longer paralyzed. I walked back to the podium.
What is your plan?
That's not the normal criminal procedure. You're supposed to ask me my name first, then crime, then we get on with the interrogation.
We have more important subjects to discuss. What is your plan?
I shot a bolt of lightning out of my hand, stoling at Zebruda's throat. Zebruda, now powerless, with Alethea in the room and an inch from death, was now forced to tell the truth.
Alright, fine. Gunkweezer Shufflebottom was infected with a contagious virus that slowly turned the infected into a zombie. I sent him to kill people so he would be put in prison to infect the other prisoners. He did so, providing a distraction. My minions placed blocks of TNT inside Uloestropolis' mines while Uloesers were defending the city from the zombie invasion. They will detonate in...
Zebruda looked at his watch.
Exactly an hour, 9 minutes and 42 seconds. Oh yeah, and they can't be dismantled.
I ran down to the mines to warn all the miners to see if there really was a bomb. I gathered all the miners in the main mine shaft and told them to spread out to find the bomb. It was found in about 30 minutes, and with a quick search it was obvious that Zebruda was right. This bomb could not be stopped. I ran out of the mines to the speaker room, which is a room that had redstone speakers wired to everywhere in Uloestropolis. Every Uloestropolisian, in a matter of seconds, had their ears flooded with a staticky voice.
Hello, Uloestropolisians. Zebruda has revealed that he has placed an explosive in the mines that will detonate in about 30 seconds. please make sure you find your way to the nearest overworld portal. Just so you know, so the explosion does not seep into the dimension of the overworld, we will have the portals newly coded to not have a way back to Uloestropolis. Sadly, this means you will spawn in a random place in the overworld where you may or may not be near other Uloestropolisians or good resources. Thank you, and I hope I see you soon.
As the last of the Uloestropolisians ran into the portals, the bomb blew up like Zebra said it would, and Uloestropolis was no more. Most Uloestropolisians escaped. I spawned in a plains biome, where I made my home in a little oak tree. After many years, that tree grew into a giant oak, protecting many plants, villagers, and houses around it. The empire of Uloestropolis still stood. Some of the zombies that Zebruda created also reached Uloestropolis. They reproduced, and eventually the remaining people of the overworld, the villagers, had gotten used to them. When a zombie was there for too long, it broke down into a skeleton, and eventually into nothing at all. Zebruda had spawned in a savanna biome relatively close to where I was. He made himself a little acacia and copper shack to live in. It grew into a strange city that he built with Super Mario and Mr. GameCube. After many years of living there, when my oak was large and fully grown, I came to visit Zebruda, and I made sure that Zebruda knew he was forgiven. Although Zebruda never did get his powers back for a long time, just in case.